I bought two of the most popular knife sharpeners on Amazon, and I'm going to tell you my experience from someone who has never sharpened a knife before. Here we have the tried and true fixed angle knife sharpener, and here we have the new kid on the block, the rolling knife sharpener. This one is the Hone. This one is the WorkSharp Professional Precision Adjust. They also call it the Pro PA, so I'm going to refer to it as the Pro PA. It's a little bit easier to say, still a little bit of a tongue twister. Before we get into the comparison, I do want to give a little bit of background of the story. A few weeks ago, I started buying some cold smoked salmon, and I was sick of paying so much for it, so I decided I could probably make this myself. Sure enough, it was super easy to make. The hardest part was getting those nice, thin slices. And I thought to myself, my knives are sharp. Well, they were sharp. 4.5 years ago when I bought them. These are the knives that I've been using for the past 4.5 years. They're the Dalstrong Shogun series. I absolutely love them. They're beautiful Japanese knives made in China, but they're Damascus. They look nice. They were very sharp when I received them. However, I've never actually sharpened them. I will put links to everything you see in the video in the description, and also in the comments. They are affiliate links, so if you do use them, I do get a few pennies, and I do appreciate the support. Before we get into the comparison between the two, I do want to say that if you are going to get a knife sharpener, I would highly recommend getting a pair of cut-resistant gloves. I picked these up on Amazon. I'll put a link in the description as well. I think these are $12. I've already spent $12 on Band-Aids from cutting myself, and I wasn't even sharpening. I was just reaching for something and smacked my hand right into the knife and took a nice big chunk out of my knuckle. So safety first, get a pair of gloves. They're not very expensive. So this is the Hone rolling knife sharpener. This was the first one that I had purchased. I've been eyeing over these rolling knife sharpeners for the past 1.5 years, but never bit the bullet and bought one. So finally I decided on this one. It looked like a good value. It was $90 when I purchased it, and one of the things that set it apart was the small notches for sharpening smaller knives, which I'll show you in a second. Now, my initial thoughts of this were the build quality seems very nice. It's actually quite heavy, heavier than I thought it would be, which is good to keep a nice smooth motion. This is a nice solid block. The magnets are very strong, and it does have the notches here for holding a smaller knife, which some of them don't. I believe the Horrell may have something like that. The Horrells are extremely expensive. In the package, you're going to get the magnetic base, the roller with 2 discs, disc 1 and disc 2. Disc 1 is a 400 grit, disc 2 is a 1000 grit. And it also comes with a small little tool with a flathead and an Allen key. The small little flathead is good for removing the magnetic disc off each end. And it comes with only 2 discs. To use a rolling knife sharpener, it's very simple. All you have to do is place your knife down, pick the degree you want, in this case 15, put it against here. The magnets are very strong, and I've seen a lot of reviews say that these do have some of the stronger magnets, and then you roll it back and forth. Now, one of the struggles I had was, if you think about a comparison, both of these wheels are locked. They don't spin independently, which is good for keeping a nice straight motion. However, if you think about your car, if all your wheels spun at the same speed, it'd be very difficult to turn. So while this is good and gives you good stability for sharpening the straight part of the blade, when you get to the end where there's a little bit of a curve, it was a bit of a challenge. I actually found it much easier to use a cutting board like this because it's a little more slippery and would allow me to get that curve. One of the downfalls of the Hone is it comes with a 15 and a 20 degree. Little did I know that my knives came from the factory sharpened at an 8 to 12 degree, or at least that's what that says on the specifications of the knives. So I went with the 15. It was a little more work. I was able to get this knife pretty sharp. However, as I said previously, it only comes with a 400 and a 1000 grit. You can get a free ceramic disc if you go to their website. Even if you've purchased on Amazon, you can submit your order and they'll mail you a free ceramic disc. In order to get a nice finished edge on here, I did have to use a leather strap, which I had already had from sharpening my chisels. So with this, and this, I was able to get a very nice edge. It did take a little bit of time to get the hang of it. And the first time you do it, I would suggest practicing with an older knife that you don't really care about until you get the feel for it. Same with the WorkSharp. Now, even though I was able to get a pretty nice edge on my knife using the Hone, I still ended up purchasing the WorkSharp, and that is more of a complete system, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. The downfall of the Hone is it only comes with a 15 and 20 degree angle. So if your knives are not 15 or 20 degrees, you're kind of going to be out of luck. You're going to have to really spend a lot more time getting one of those angles into the edge of the blade. Now, if you're going to use this to sharpen a smaller knife, such as a paring knife, a utility knife, that little notch that's in there allows it to bring the knife up off the table to align it more. So this is a small 4-inch paring knife. you would just put it right against there and then place it like that. Make sure it's down all the way, and then that will bring the blade up so you can make contact with the discs. Now Hone does offer an accessory pack which comes with a bunch more discs, a leather strap, and actually something that attaches to the bottom magnetically, I believe, which can change the angle to give you 8 more angles. However, that's another $127. Then also you can purchase additional magnetic base. They call it an extension, which you can use to attach to this to give you more of a stronger base, more secure base for holding a bigger knife. If you're just doing a 8-inch blade, it's not too big of a deal, but if you're getting, I'd say, above 10 inches, you're gonna want more stability. So with all those, you're getting over $250. The Pro PA is $250 at the time that I purchased it. Now that we looked at the Hone, let's take a look at the Pro PA. So this is the WorkSharp Professional Precision Adjust, and in my opinion, this is more of a complete system. It has more versatility, and that's kind of why I decided to buy this in addition to the other one to see which one I would like better. Now this is a much bigger model. It's a different type. It's a fixed angle sharpener. So your knife is going to clamp into the clamp, and then you're going to use your different plates on here and sharpen it along there. So this comes with quite a few things, and one of the things that really sets it apart is it comes with a digital angle gauge. This is the box that all the accessories come in, and you can also use it to keep it stored nice and neatly. It comes with a 220, 320, 400, 600, 800 ceramic honing plate and also a leather strap. So this is, like I said, a complete package all in one. It also comes with, you can slide off this support and you can remove the clamp. They call this the small knife or small blade table. So you can adjust this. I mean, this is still too big for this, but if you have a very small blade, it's magnetic. And you can adjust this to get the blade just off the edge, and then you can use it to sharpen a smaller blade. I haven't actually used this yet, so I can't really speak to how well it works, but the reviews say it works pretty well. So I like to leave this on despite the size of the knife I'm sharpening. It's just going to give it more support. So a quick demonstration of how you use this. I'm going to put in an 8-inch chef knife. I like to tilt it back. You want to start out with the handle to the right side of you. And notice that these are spring loaded. So even though you don't have it tightened, you can actually put the knife in there and it's gonna hold it pretty well until you get it tightened down. And you wanna get the blade so it's about parallel. Once that's secured in there, you can pull the lever, drop it down. I'm gonna put the leather strap on for right now, just for demonstration purposes. And then you would use this to go up and down and sharpen the knife. It does have a nice spot, so you can put it up there when you're changing the discs or flipping the blade over. Now, one of the things that WorkSharp thought of is to rotate the blade back and forth. If you're using a larger knife, it's going to hit the table, obviously. So this whole thing tilts back. You can press this button down on the side, rotate it over, bring it back down, and then you can sharpen that side. So as I was saying, this is more of a whole complete system. You can sharpen all different types of knives in here. Even the back of this right here is a ceramic honing rod, I would guess you would call it, so you can get in the little nooks and crannies of a serrated blade. This is also much more bigger and robust than their previous Precision Adjust Elite series that they had. I'll put a link to that in the description too. So what they did with this was try to correct all the downfalls that they had with their smaller previous model, which is much less expensive. You can also see on here that you have angle guides right here on both sides. This is the clamp side, this is the table side. So this actually doesn't hold a knife completely parallel to the table. It's tilted up a little bit, so that's why these numbers don't align. Now it does come with the angle guide right here. So what you would do to use this is you would turn it on, zero it out on the table, then bring this down, and this can actually clamp on right there and tell you exactly what angle you are sharpening at. Now, it doesn't necessarily say this in the instructions, but what I found much more helpful is to actually zero it out on the blade. That way you get the precise measurement between the sharpening plate and the blade. Obviously there's going to be some fluctuations. That's why they give you a difference here. And if you're looking to target a specific angle, I'm not sure why you would measure from the table to the plate if the table and the blade are not the same. It doesn't really make sense to me. But that's why they give you a guide on both sides to get a rough estimate, and then you can use this to get very precise measurements. Now, one of the downfalls I've found with this is, as robust as it is and as a good design as I feel it is, inside the clamp is rubber pads, and I'm sure they put those in there so you don't mar or scratch the knife. Well, as we know, rubber is soft and it compresses. So no matter how tight I get these clamps, there's still a little bit of movement. Now, it's not really a big deal for a small knife like a paring knife where the forces are very close to the clamp. But when you get out here, there's a little bit of wiggle. And if you look closely, just the weight of this actually causes the blade to move a little bit. Now, you're not going to see it as much on a knife like this, but when you get out to the tip, you can see a little bit of flex. You can see the whole thing move. Now, when you're using this, you're not even supposed to press down a lot. You're just supposed to let the weight of the plate do the work. However, the fact that it moves a little bit with just that, if you were to apply a tiny bit of pressure, you're going to get it moving. If this moves the littlest bit, the whole flat side that you just sharpened is going to be altered, and in my opinion, sets you up for failure. However, I was able to get a very sharp edge on this blade. Now, despite that downfall, it still does seem like a very good design, and me being the person I am myself, I had to come up with a solution for that. And what I came up with, in my opinion, is absolutely genius, and I'm going to make a separate video on that, and I'll link it up in the corner there. So if you want to see the modification I made, it costs about $40 to $45. It does not alter the sharpener at all. It just bolts on through the holes, and it makes a knife this size so sturdy. I was actually able to sharpen a big cleaver like this. The clamp is good and holds a knife like this decently, holds a knife like this great. When I put this blade in here, and don't get me wrong, this is kind of pushing it. I mean, these types of sharpeners are not really made to sharpen a big cleaver like this. This thing weighs over a pound. But when you put this in there, I'll actually show you. Some of the other sharpeners available like this actually have multiple clamps that you can adjust how far out they hold it. And it seems like from the videos I've seen, they actually clamp onto the blade or the spine of the knife a little bit better and a little bit further, hopefully making it more secure. So now you can see how much wiggle you get with a knife like this. So you can see I have this as tight as I can get it. It's sagging. So that's not a fixed angle, obviously. You can see an exaggeration of how much it actually moves when you put this on here. Every time it touches it, it's changing the angle of it. Therefore, it's not really a fixed angle. Now, like I said, you're not really going to be sharpening a knife like this. The reason why I like this system is, to me, it's more versatile. I was actually able to take this knife, which is extremely thin, and I was able to get it clamped in there well enough to actually get a pretty sharp edge on it. It was a bit of a challenge, and I had to sharpen it at a steeper angle. It would be impossible to sharpen this with the hone, just because there's not enough metal for the magnets to hold it to. So the knife sharpener that I'm going to keep is the WorkSharp Pro PA. To me, this is more of an all-inclusive system that I can grow with. There's other accessories, or there's actually other companies, I believe it's Hapstone, that make plate holders so you can fit all different types of plates on it, different brands. And these ones are magnetic, and they're made by WorkSharp. So in order to replace these, you can only use WorkSharp's plates. They do make upgraded ones now that they just came out with that are resin bonded diamonds, which seem to be pretty good from the reviews. But to me, this is a more versatile system and something I can grow with. If I were to get the same accessories for the hone, it would cost about the same. And with that, the versatility of this really means a lot more to me. If you've used either of these sharpeners, I would love to hear your opinion in the comments. Did you notice the same thing I did with the flex and the clamp? Maybe you're sharpening smaller knives like a utility knife, pocket knife, and you didn't really notice it because you haven't gone into a bigger knife like this. But in my opinion, that flex makes it a little bit tricky to use when you get into like an 8-inch chef knife or even bigger. I mean, this is a standard size chef knife. If you're going up to 10, 12-inch chef knife, you're gonna have the same issues. That's why I came up with the solution that I made. And again, I will put a link in the corner to that video. I believe with that modification, I've sharpened about 6 knives with it, and it makes this so secure. If you have questions about either of these products, let me know in the comments. I'll answer them the best I can. I am no professional knife sharpener, but I was able to get a pretty decent edge, in my opinion, with each of these. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Be sure to check out that modification video. I promise if you have this and you do that modification, you will be amazed